The phrase built different is thrown around too loosely, but when you fight for over a minute without your mouthpiece, and don't so much as even glance at the referee, you are built different. Shavkat Rakhmonov is an absolute monster in the welterweight division. He's currently 17-0 and has finished all 17 opponents. He's been to the third round only twice. He's been able to handle all different styles of fighter. Jeff Neal is a conventional boxer, Neil Magny is a long, rangy fighter, and Cowboy Oliveira is a complete madman. Still, he comes out on top and makes them fight his game. Nobody's been able to impose their will on Rakhmonov yet. How far can he go? Let's find out. Here is the scouting report for Shavkat Rakhmonov. Rakhmonov can truly do it all. He has a combat sambo background, and while he does love the clinch game, he's so good in space that you wouldn't necessarily assume he came from this sambo style if you were watching him for the first time. At 6'1", his length makes him tough to deal with at welterweight, but he can handle it coming back his way too, as seen by his destruction of the 6'3" veteran Neil Magny. There's no gimmick in his fighting style. He doesn't waste movement or bounce around for the sake of bouncing around. His stance is fundamentally sound, solid base, hands high, yet light enough on his feet to move freely. The one thing I like is that he never takes his eyes off his opponent. Some guys drop their head when throwing strikes, but Rakhmonov is completely focused on his target at all times. Rakhmonov has remarkable poise and composure. When he's fighting on the biggest stage, his facial expression looks as if he's in line at the bank. His stoic demeanor is a representation of his confidence and preparation. Against Neil Magny, there were some awkward moments where Magny is attempting leg attacks, but Rakhmonov remains calm and eventually finds himself in a dominant position. His aggressive fighting style and finishing ability is perhaps his biggest asset. You don't finish every single one of your opponents by accident. He's an equal opportunity finisher with 8 wins by knockout and 9 by submission. He could have coasted to a decision victory against Jeff Neal, but he put himself in the fire to get the victory with a unique standing rear naked choke. You rarely see this submission. Look at how he goes hip to hip to create leverage. With the way MMA judging is nowadays, the ability to finish fights and have multiple paths to victory is a major plus. Rakhmonov is extremely well-rounded. You could say one of his biggest strengths is actually his lack of weaknesses. His striking is deceptively powerful. He doesn't have the menacing physique of someone like a prime Tyron Woodley, but when he connects, it completely rattles his opponent. Part of the reason is that he doesn't pull punches. When he punches through you, rather than stopping at the contact point. If that wasn't enough to think about, he has a dynamic kicking arsenal as well. I like that he doesn't throw random kicks. How often do you see guys throw spinning attacks from a mile away for absolutely no reason? But Rakhmonov has this innate ability to find the perfect opportunity to throw kicks and completely catch his opponent off guard. On the ground is no picnic either. Don't expect him to lay and pray because his ground strikes are devastating. Any weakness you find is completely nitpicking because there are very few holes in Rakhmonov's game. One thing you could say is that his takedown arsenal is somewhat limited. He doesn't really go for the conventional single or double leg and initiates most of his takedowns from the clinch position up against the cage. Speaking of which, he tends to default to this clinch position quite a bit. He throws some good clinch strikes, but I've seen him get turned around at times. It makes me wonder why he favors this position when he's so good in other areas. Against Jeff Neal, Rakhmonov ate a few shots. You could take this one of two ways. 1, maybe his striking defense is a little shaky, or 2, that he proved he could take a punch. I tend to lean towards the latter, since Neal has some of the best boxing in the division, if not the entire UFC. I think it's good that he was tested and showed that he could handle a little adversity. When discussing a fighter's potential, I like to consider what I think is the best and worst versions of their career. Best case scenario, I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is a future champion. Not only that, I think he could rack up 2 or 3 title defenses as well. Worst case, I think he's a top 5 welterweight. Since he's so aggressive and fearless, maybe he gets caught and loses a few fights that he shouldn't. But he's so good that it's hard to envision anything worse than this. One thing he has on his side is youth. Rakhmonov is only 29. When you look at welterweight, Kamaru Usman is 36, Colby Covington is 35, Gilbert Burns is 36, and Wonderboy is 40. The opportunity is there, and I'm excited to see how his career pans out. What do you think about Shavkat Rakhmonov? Comment below and let us know. Please subscribe so you don't miss any new content. I'm Sean from the Octagon Observer. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.